Hi everyone, my name is Brennan Lafferty. I'm the publisher of Plastics News. I welcome you to Conversations with Plastics News. I'm lucky enough to be seated by the most sought after man in Orlando these days, Mr. Bill Carteaux, CEO and President of SPI. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you, Brennan.
Or should we call you Hall of Famer? Do you just go by that these days?
Yeah, I don't think so. I'll pass on that one for today. So
that was an amazing event last night. What stood out for you?
What stood out for me was I don't remember what song they played when I went up. It was such a surreal moment, and it was the first time I ever got in front of a microphone that I didn't know what to say.
That's true. You were very concise. You had your complete thank you to the industry and Plastics News.
I did, and I appreciate what you guys did for me because I took so much grief from the day it was announced that I was going to be in the Hall of Fame that this event was going to go on 5-6 hours because people know how I like to talk about the industry. And what was funny is you guys limited me to 500 words, and I took 870. Yeah. So I guess that says something in and of itself right there.
That's right. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So moving on to some issues, SPI really concentrates on recycling right now. What is it about recycling that stands out for you?
A couple years ago, we changed our mission statement, and a part of our mission statement is to pursue zero waste strategies. Yeah. And that's really changed the organization, but even before that, based on what's happening from a consumer perspective up through the brand owners, and the new generation is really pushing it, is they want us to be sustainable. They want sustainable products. They want recycled content in their products. And we feel that because we represent the broad base of the industry, the entire value chain, that we have an opportunity to really represent that and really move the needle, and we have so far.
Yeah, you feel it's really resonating with the younger generation coming into the industry?
Oh, I absolutely do. When I look at our FLIP group, which is our Future Leaders in Plastics group, they have really embraced what we're doing in that area. And you know, the thing that we've been very successful at in a very short period of time is really embedding this whole issue of zero waste and recycling into the overall fabric of the show, where in the past it was always kind of a separate piece of the industry. It really wasn't bolted onto it. It's really mainstream today. I mean, several people came by our office several months ago and even said that. And in one show cycle of NPE, we've taken it from being this stepchild to being mainstream with everything else that the industry is doing.
So what's going on in the South Hall with the Zero Waste Zone?
In the Zero Waste Zone, we actually this morning kicked off with UMass Lowell a new material sustainability lab. And a lot of the industry, a lot of our members have donated equipment into that. It's going to be a 5,000 square foot lab at UMass Lowell. And it's going to be working on recycling technologies. And beyond that, we've actually got, we're grinding all of the bottles, the post-consumer bottles from the show back in that area and turning it into flake. And then we've got a display back there showing what all products are being made out of that, and not just low-end products. A lot of people think that recycled content is low-end products. There is some really high-end stuff back there. And then we also have the fashion show that we opened up the show with this morning on display with some of the SCAD students will be back there all week.
Really?
And so it's an opportunity to really see it. And more than that, we have a wall back there. It's the Zero Waste Wall, and we would like every person in the industry, everybody that comes to the show, to pledge their support to zero waste by signing their name on that wall back there. So I was fortunate enough over the weekend to be the first. When Mayor Jacobs helped us open the show this morning, she actually signed the wall as well because Orlando's really big on recycling.
That's cool. That's really neat. So how does SPI and NPE adjust to the ever-changing marketplace?
You know, that's a great question, and I think the way that we do that, and I said this in my opening comments this morning, NPE is truly the only show in the world that's put on by the industry for the industry, and we stay very close to what's happening around the world and in this country because our members are actively engaged at the strategic level. We got a great staff at SPI, professional staff that knows how to put on the show and the logistics and making sure all that comes together. But as we're looking out 3 years into the future, you know, when we kick off NPE 2018 on Saturday the 28th of this week, you know, we'll be looking at what are those next things. You know, right now we've brought out the 3D, NPE 3D. You know, we've got a lot of things on sustainability. We've got the Startup Garage. The Startup Garage may be a great way for us to understand what's happening in the future, but it's that member involvement.
Yeah.
That member involvement really keeps us on that cutting edge because we've got not only the people that are developing the new equipment that are seeing those markets, But we also now, with the brand owners, have a direct link into the consumer to understand what they're looking for to make sure that we're bringing to the show. And that's been a big reason why we partnered with IDSA, and IDSA is having an event at the show this week too.
Right. Now you mentioned 2018. Can you talk a little bit about the big announcement this week about staying in Orlando for the next 2+ shows at least? Yeah.
This has been an unbelievable venue for us. I had an opportunity this morning to meet with the Visit Orlando Board of Directors. They came in and made a couple of presentations to Gene and I. And we've had 0 complaints, either from the attendees or the exhibitor side, since we moved the show here in 2012. And one of the things that really kind of, in my opinion, drives Orlando ahead of everyone else is the hospitality. And until you experience it, it's really hard to understand that. And you know, the reason that we're up 4 million pounds on equipment, we're going to have almost 20 million pounds of equipment on the show floor this week, up from 16 3 years ago. And it's because when people got down here, they realized that the cost structure was a lot less, and they could bring more equipment, lock in their costs, and run more stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever would have hit a record that we're hitting this show if that hadn't happened. So based on that, we have committed to being here in 2018, 2021, and we're holding dates in 2024 as well.
And we reported that as well about holding dates. What does that mean specifically?
We have a letter of intent signed with Visit Orlando and the Convention Center that we will, that they're holding those dates. We have first right of refusal on those dates in 2024 as well. So, and a show of our size, it would take a lot of shows to agree to take that much space over that period of time. So we think we're pretty safe. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. What would you say to anybody? I'm sure there are a few people out there who loved Chicago and loved what you did in Chicago. Any message to them? You know, I grew up in the Midwest.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a Hoosier. Spent a lot of time when I was a kid in Chicago. I love Chicago. Chicago did great things for us. You know, as the industry has grown and evolved into other parts of the country, we become more international. We're going to be approaching 35% of all of our attendance at this show is outside the United States. We're in a great position to, you know, to attract Latin America, and we've seen a huge increase in 2012. We've seen a huge increase in the pre-registration in 15. You know, it's a great city. It's a great business destination, but for a show of our magnitude, when you're trying to run this much equipment and bring it in, this is, in my opinion, and our members' opinion, is the right location. And I'll restate something that we looked at before we ever moved the show.
Yeah.
We have 3 constituency groups that we have to satisfy. Number 1 is the attendee. I mean, this show is really for the people that are standing here, you know, looking at new equipment, looking at new technology, looking at materials, you know, what's that next generation that they want to go after, and they have to be satisfied.
Yeah.
And to be satisfied, they need to be able to see the equipment running and see the things they want to see. And so, so that's important, and the exhibitors have to be able to do that cost effectively. So we need to make sure that the exhibitors are happy. And then thirdly, SPI had to be happy as that third leg of that stool, because it had to make economic sense to us as well, because the money that we make off NPE is poured directly back into the industry on advocacy issues and other things that we're doing today. So, and when we've looked at this and continue to look at it after every show, it continues to point to Orlando as the destination to be able to accomplish that.
Fair enough. So if you're a processor coming to Orlando, coming to NPE for the first time, any advice you give to them? Any must-sees for that processor walking the show this week?
Oh wow, that's
there's so much to see.
Well, with everything we have that you have to see, I would tell you that the must-see is the NPE app.
Oh.
Because the NPE app, no matter what you're looking for at the show, is an opportunity for you to go in and find it. No matter where you are on the show floor, you can say, I'm standing next to the Plastics News booth and I want to go to Kraus Maffei down the way, and put it in, it'll map your route for you. So in my opinion, that's the most important thing, because I think everybody's needs are a little bit different, what they're looking for, whether you're a brand owner, processor, equipment guy, supplier to the industry, whatever it is.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
And that was a trick question, because that wasn't on the list.
So I saw you talking to Steve Russell from the American Chemistry Council moments ago. What are you doing with the different associations to cooperate and spread the gospel of plastics?
Having a lot of fun, and I want everyone in the audience and everyone that watches this to understand. I've been at SPI 10 years now. I started my 11th year on March 1st, And the change in the collaboration and cooperation from the associations 10 years ago to today is 180 degrees different. It's almost like comparing 8 years ago with the price of natural gas and resin costs to today. You know, there's zero comparison. Steve and I, with the Canadian Plastics Industry Association, and now this year, ANIPAC, which is the Mexican Plastics Association, formed NAPA, the North American Plastics Alliance.
Right.
And we did that, it'll be 5 years ago this year. We are working on great things and collaborating to make sure that we're not duplicating dues dollars and that we really, truly share information across those channels. An outgrowth of that was a group called PAL, which I started at NPE 3 years ago, and it's 19 North American Plastics Associations, and yes, there are that many. There's a lot of small associations out there.
Right.
And we get together and we have 6, 7 times in the last 3 years, and we've now honed in on 3 areas that we can work on collectively, and we share a lot of information, and there's joint projects behind the scenes with them. And then an outgrowth of that, based on all the things we're doing on the recycling front, I was asked to start a group that we call NAPRA, the North American Plastics Recycling Alliance.
Okay.
And so it's all organizations that are centered around plastics recycling. They may not only be involved with plastics recycling, but they, you know, in some way, shape, or form are. And we've had 3 meetings already. And that group is really focused on how do we get the message out about all these great things that the industry is doing and make sure that people understand. But as importantly, one of the first things that happened was there was a matrix put together of every project everybody's working on, as well as all the studies that are available. So if somebody calls me and we don't do it, I can point somebody in the right direction. But that way we're helping the industry by not duplicating those efforts. And beyond that, we're having a hell of a lot of fun working together as peers because we're seeing the things that we can actually do to increase the value proposition for our individual membership, and while we're not stealing each other's members. And it's really raised the value proposition of everybody in a trade association.
Sounds smart. You probably wonder why that hasn't been done in the past.
Yeah, but the past is the past.
Right, fair enough. So I imagine you're a very busy guy this week. Have you lost track of how many invitations to parties and meetings you've been given?
Yeah, I'll tell you, the best way to put that is, about 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, I have a new assistant since the last trade show. And Jane started right after NPE 2012, and she came to me one day and she said, so what's my role at NPE? And I said, you have one role at NPE. And she said, what's that? I said, to make sure Bill Carteaux is where he's supposed to be, when he's supposed to be, 24/7. She says, yeah, but what else do I need to do? And I said, no, Jane, you don't understand. So I pulled out my calendar from the week of the show from 2012, and she looked at it, she goes, I got it. So too many. I have, tonight's a light night, I only have 4 events. Tomorrow I have 7, Wednesday night I have 8, and that's from 4 o'clock till midnight. So, you know, it is what it is, but I love it, as you well know.
Yep. How's Jane doing so far?
She is a rock star.
Good.
She, for anybody that was at the Hall of Fame last night, it was all her. She took over and just did a phenomenal job, and I couldn't survive without the woman. She is my chief of staff.
Very good. So. Anything else you'd like to share with us about NPE?
You know, just enjoy yourself. You know, there's a lot to see and do, and take advantage of the app so you see what you need to see and want to see, and just have a great time. And I guess in the words of Walt Disney, have a magical show.
Well, thanks so much, Bill. Our guest was Bill Carteaux. You've been listening to Conversations with Plastics News. Thanks for watching.